Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to go through our daily technical analysis update of commodities. We'll work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities and ETFs that I follow. I'm going to give you my financial opinion across the board here. And if you guys need help with anything, definitely check out finding-value.com. I've got a lot of information on there. If you guys are interested in joining our community, we also have a platinum question and answer session coming up this weekend at 7 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Let's dive in. Let's see what's going on with the markets today. So looking at DXY, we can see on the right-hand side here, I don't know why they changed this. We're coming on down. It does look like we could continue lower in the DXY, which means we could see flat to lower yields potentially. So we go to look at yields. We've got slightly higher 2-year yield here. And is this thing peaking out? We've got wicks at the top here. We have a bearish engulfing here. To me, it looks like we could potentially head a little bit lower in the short term for the 2-year yield. Looking at the 10-year yield, that's moving sideways, and we do have a little bit of selling pressure with this candlestick here. But it is a battle. This is nice, strong candlestick there, and it's kind of battling it out back and forth. So we'll see which direction that goes. We've got TYX also looking like it could potentially head lower in the short term. So we've got lower yields. We've got a dollar that could potentially go lower. And that's generally good tailwinds for precious metals. So we should be looking for signs or signals in precious metals to potentially try to put in a bottom. So we look at the TYX TNX ratio. This is the ratio between the 30-year and 10-year. When this ratio goes down, the yield curve is inverting. When it goes up, the yield curve is uninverting. To me, it looks like we could potentially move higher with a bullish engulfing reversal candlestick. Not much selling pressure left, so it makes me think that we could potentially go higher given this setup in the short term. We are at very low levels. I don't know why it's not automatically adjusting. Kind of weird. So we are at very low levels for the TYX TNX ratio, and generally when it's at these low levels, it's beneficial to look for precious metals, because precious metals outperform when the yield curve uninverts and there's fear in market. TLT also down very low. We were slightly higher today. There we are. Is this going to rocket higher? If that rolls higher, that generally indicates that people are running into bonds and that yields could drop some. The conundrum that people are in, or I should say that Powell is in, is that when people run into bonds, for the safety, it's going to lower interest rates, and lowering interest rates is going to kick up inflation from the real estate market in terms of loaning, credit expansion. So we're going to have to balance, the market's going to have to balance we'll call it the yield curve rates versus inflation. And I know inflation's come down, so maybe the interest rates are a little too high at the moment. But I do think that when interest rates do go down, it's going to spark a big bull market in real estate. And I know I'm a minority in that camp. What Powell needs to do if he doesn't want that inflation to come from the real estate market is he needs to hold interest rates high for a long time. That's what he has to do. So looking at gold right at support. We're at 19. We got down to 1920. That 1913, 1915 level was its support. So we could start to see some support here. We would like to see this thing turn around and head back higher here. That's what we're hoping for. So, and it does look good for that to do that. We've got some wicks at the bottom here, which means we come to this level and it bounces off that level. Silver, a little bit more selling pressure. Yeah, we've got a little bit of a wick at the bottom. And like I said before, this could, kind of blow out to the downside. It's just done that. And now would be a good time to start looking at silver. Platinum still in full bear mode. I do think it's got a little bit more left in it because it's closing quite rapidly. But somewhere down here, we're going to find a very good entry point. And when it reverses, that is when I will buy. And if you're part of the website, that community, I will definitely let everybody know when I'm purchasing it. I'll put it on there and do the midweek update and all that other stuff. And we do have a midweek update this week today as well. And there is a lot of really good areas to be looking at. XAU to gold ratio. This ratio is kind of flat. Looks like it's trying to put in some sort of bottom. But again, looking at, I don't know why it doesn't want to automatically. We still haven't broken the downtrend line yet. So there's that big downtrend line. Have not broken it yet. And that is something that we want to do, is break that downtrend line. The CRB index, there's the CRB index, still looking good for a move higher. We've been moving back and forth, up and down, all around, moving sideways. And I know people become impatient, but this is all part of the game. You just got to sit there and do nothing. It's not that hard to do nothing. Sit there, do nothing, and just watch. But this does look good to go higher, and oil looks good. And oil is a big component of this. So oil doesn't look too bad, and we'll take a look at it in a little bit. CRB to S&P 500 still in a downtrend, and I think that may continue for a little bit longer until we get these commodities turned around and spooled up, which I think is soon. GDX. So GDX was down. It was down less than gold. No, it was down a teeny bit more than gold. But there it is with GDX right on support. We've got GDXJ also right on support. And we've got SILJ, which is inside the pattern slightly lower. And we're inside the pattern slightly lower. And we could go a little bit lower here. It's possible, but let's watch what the physical metals do and what interest rates do. Because all this is just one leverage play to interest rates and the precious metals themselves. Crude oil up a little bit today. This is starting to look a lot better, guys. I mean, I'm a believer in crude oil, but I think it looks pretty good here for a continued move to the upside. Could say we've got kind of a little break going on there potentially. So I don't know. I think it looks good. Let's wait and see what happens. Obviously, I'm not going to wait to buy things. I'm in the markets, adding in, sprinkling in, doing my thing. But I think crude oil looks good to continue higher. I think natural gas, it looks like we're putting in a kind of like a roundish bottom here, kind of like coming down, like where we could eventually work our way on up. So I think it looks good. I don't play the short term, but I do think we're low. And I think there are opportunities to buy cheap assets in natural gas. Looking at the ETF, XOP, yeah, me, coming back, hitting support, up 1% today, right on the support level. You know what? I like buying support levels. I really do, for a move on higher. OIH, another one that looks decent in this general location, still looks good to grind on up. So that still looks good. We've got the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. Not much selling pressure over here. I think eventually what we're going to do is rest up here and then eventually break to the upside and eclipse that 1815 level and stay above it. So just be patient. Uranium down a little bit, but still looks good. There's not a ton of selling pressure over here. Everything's still intact for a grind higher. URNJ also grinding higher. We're back to support, and I'm sure we'll find support there and work our way on up. If the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust and URNM go up, I'm sure URNJ will go up. TAN down a little bit. Is this a pattern where, let's get this going here. Is this a flag pattern where we could dump out to the downside? It could be, where we dump to the downside, go a little bit lower and get our false breakdown. Get a little bit of a false breakdown and rip it to the upside eventually. Maybe. I know money's coming at solar from governments and all that stuff, mandates, whatever it is, but I will say this: solar companies and a lot of the other renewable companies, they're not making money. So what? That's the predicament that they're in. I'll just say that. COPX up 0.7% today. Actually doesn't look too bad. We're just basically moving sideways, but this is a bullish piercing pattern today that generally indicates that we could go higher. It's not too bad there. Lithium, again, I think lithium's a good spot right in this back test area. And we have broken out for lithium to the upside, and I think that will continue to the upside eventually. It'll grind its way higher. REMX will do the same thing. It's going to grind its way on higher, and it looks good and doing a return move to do a back test, like I said it was going to happen a couple days ago. SPX coming back a little bit, but again, it still looks good. We've got, if you look at these candlesticks, they're just small little selling candlesticks. There's nothing behind it, at least not yet. So my opinion is it will continue to go higher until we see evidence of otherwise. Same with the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ, a little bit stronger selling pressure in the NASDAQ today, but it's working its way on higher, and the momentum's definitely to the upside for the NASDAQ. There it is. Emerging markets down slightly, but again, I think emerging markets looks good down here, right at this general location. So basically, this is a retest. You kind of break out, retest, and then we'll see if we can move on up. XHB continuing higher. After the housing starts, I think XHB definitely looks stronger to continue higher. We've got MOO. MOO is moving higher. Bullish engulfing pattern here. That definitely looks like it wants to move on up. The area that I would be looking at would be fertilizers. Copper, we're looking at copper, 0.39% up a little bit today. It's above support. I think it can still work its way and grind on up. Iron ore still looking good. That is above its come on, iron ore. It is above its area where I think it will continue and grind on up. There's a lot of support underneath. We've broken out of the falling wedge. Still looks good to go higher. Nickel also right against up against this resistance area, but it will break through and probably go sideways to higher for nickel. We've got aluminum. Aluminum is working its way, putting in a bottom, and I think eventually it's going to work its way on higher. Baltic Dry Index up 0.122%, and I think it will work its way higher. It broke the falling wedge, broke out, put in a higher low, and it'll break and move on higher, in my opinion. Newcastle Coal Futures, it's just basing out. Let it base out. It's sitting on top of support. Let it be there. Ethereum ripping it higher. I do think this could easily work its way on up. Same with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think it's going to work its way on up. What I did here with Bitcoin is I took this fractal here, which is that fractal there. I overlaid it, and it's roughly the same fractal. So we could see a big move to the upside for Bitcoin. And I've been saying that for a while, that we could get a big move to the upside for Bitcoin. I'm not playing Bitcoin, just FYI. You guys can do it if you want. And I just bring it up and we talk about it, and that could be, something to do with liquidity or the halving cycle and all that stuff. But that's what I see for today, guys. A lot of stuff looks pretty good. We're breaking patterns to the upside. REMX, MOO is starting to move to the upside. Lithium, some of the emerging markets look pretty good, like Brazil, stuff like that. Oil got a nice little shot. Natural gas doesn't look too bad. I think we could see a lot of things move on up, commodity and non-commodity related stuff. So, yeah, I think everything looks pretty good. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website. I've got a platinum midweek update being released here after this shortly, and I'll put it up on the website for everybody. All right, guys, we'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.